So welcome everyone. We're gonna do a little different expert seminar today, and it mainly came from the idea came from a last startup hub where most of the students or learners on the course were saying that they really struggle with the imposter syndrome, confidence, and so I thought we need to bring an expert. So I contacted Meera. I'm going to ask Meera to introduce herself a little bit later on. I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. This session is recorded. It's going to be put, if you on a Startup Hub program, you're going to get access to it. So you can watch the recording if you like. And the session should take about an hour. We're going to leave the questions at the end. If you could, please mute yourself so there is no any disruption any noises coming. If you want to switch off your camera, feel free, sit back, relax, and I'm going to pass it on to you, Meera. And if you wouldn't mind to introduce yourself, what you do, and what you're going to be telling us today.
Okay, hi everybody. Really nice to meet you, especially at 7 in the evening. I do appreciate everybody joining after a long day of whatever you have been doing. So thank you for joining. I am a mindset coach. So I'm a motivation, mindset, actions, habits, lifestyle coach. And I'm also quite spiritual, and I really believe in the idea of when you are nourished and you manage your energy, then it's inside out growth. So when your mindset is good, when your energy is good, when your habits are good, you naturally vibrate at a higher frequency, and your goals and your habits and everything you put out into the world is that much bigger and better, and it's more vibrant, and there's a certain more magnetism around it, which makes the flow a lot easier. So that's what I do. My background is I'm originally from Kenya. I'm obviously Indian, but I grew up in Kenya. And I moved to London when I was about 30, and I've spent the last couple of decades, in addition to my coaching, I spent a couple of decades in the banking industry. So my first job was at Goldman Sachs, and then anyway, I've worked in several banks, doing lots of contract work, and I do project and program management within banking and financial services. So that's a little bit about me. I'll be sharing some more examples about me as I go along. So I won't say much more now. There's a few more stories I can share that just tells a little bit about some of my experiences. So what we're going to cover today, why can't I do this? Sorry. I'm just trying to work out how to move page down.
Sometimes I find that presentation are a bit stubborn when you're clicking and clicking.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm gonna have
to use the buttons at the bottom. Normally the arrows or the page down work, but it might be good. Anyway, it's fine. We'll figure it out. So really what we're going to do today, the outcomes is really, I want to take you through some of the examples and really to understand that why cultivating the right energy and the mindset can really help you to become, because obviously we're all human, every now and then we lose our motivation and our mojo, but also how do we stay motivated on a daily basis? I'm going to give you a really amazing tool, which is called a growth mindset, and some of you may be familiar with it, to actually support continuous change, because that's what it's all about, and really creating some daily habits to support this. It's fine to understand it, but without the habits in place, it's not really going to happen. I'm expecting it to be a little bit interactive, especially when I do the exercises. I'd love to use the chat throughout the call. I won't ask you to unmute throughout the call. If I do, that's fine. But otherwise, we can just use the chat. I think the chat is enabled. And there'll be a couple of tools and exercises to bring maybe what I've said to life. And also at this time of the night, or probably any time of the day, you don't want to hear me talking for an hour. It gets a bit boring, right? So it's good to make it a little bit interactive. I would like to keep all the questions and answers right to the end. So if you just have any questions, if you park them right to the end, then we'll just collect them all at the end, because sometimes it either breaks the flow or anyway, I might be answering that question. Renata, the chat's going. So if you don't mind keeping an eye on me, just in case there's like a technical thing or something, just give me a shout.
I am.
That's fine. Just give me a shout if there's something I need to know earlier.
Not to worry.
Right. So motivation and growth. So one of the things the last few years, I think you'll all agree, what it's taught us is that we really need to be agile and we need to respond in a moment's notice. We've been through COVID. We're now going through what, if you believe the news, and we're going through a bit of a recession, a global recession, really. And what we've learned is things can keep coming, the external situations can keep changing, but the more we can develop a bit of an agile mindset, a bit of a resiliency around things, then we can keep growing. So a growth mindset is one of those tools that actually is really growing in popularity, and it's really been the last decade through the work of this lady called Carol Dweck where it's really grown. And I'm really excited that more and more schools are teaching a growth mindset to the kids. I know when I grew up, it wasn't really a growth mindset. So we'll look at what the differences are. But a growth mindset essentially is a much better way to lead life. It's a lot healthier because it talks about continuous improvement and evolving. And who you become becomes more important than the destination. So not that I'm saying that you should strive for this, but even if you never hit a goal or a destination you set yourself, along the way you become a different person. You love who you are, you love your experiences. Actually, that is as powerful as hitting the goal, and it's actually a much nicer way of living. So that's something a growth mindset helps. And it really helps you to understand failure is okay. And in fact, most successful people talk about how many times they've failed. So what a growth mindset does is also allows you to take some risks, which is really powerful. So motivation and growth. So really, why should we grow? We grow because if you're spiritual, there's an understanding that actually, every lifetime your soul or your spirit needs to grow. But even if you don't believe in a soul and if you don't believe in a spirit, it doesn't matter. Actually, we all have an innate desire to grow and expand. And when we're not growing and expanding, think about what could be the cost of staying stuck. The cost of staying stuck can be depression, can be anxiety, can be frustration, can be losing your mojo. At an extreme level, it manifests in your body as all sorts of diseases and ailments and all sorts of things. So it's really important for both growth and change, and motivation and growth are obviously key to achieving goals. So I remember I was once watching this TV program, and there was a relationship coach on the TV program. And one of the contestants was a guy, and the guy says, and basically the relationship wasn't working out. And it was called Married with First Dates Australia, something like that. Anyway, it was quite interesting because the girl says, he's like this, he's like this, he's like this. And the guy then on the couch says to the coaches, I don't want to change. I don't want to change for anyone. I'm perfect as I am, or I am who I am. And the coach says to him, actually, but that's what we do. We become better versions of ourselves all the time. That's what we do. And that's what we do it for ourselves and for others. And that's how we grow. So you should be looking to become a better version of yourself. Saying I am who I am is not great. And I remember thinking, God, that's really powerful. We are continuously evolving and growing. And think about this. We have an innate desire to grow. If you think about a baby, right? When you see a baby, the first thing the baby does is it sees an adult, it sees another child, and it wants to copy that child. So if it sees an adult walking, it thinks, oh, that looks fun. I want to walk. It sees an adult eating. Oh, that looks fun. I want to eat. I want to try eating. Whatever an adult's doing, they really copy that. And that shows us that even as a child, you're not just comfortable being, you actually want to do stuff. And that's the growth part of it. And you know, with babies, they fall, they get up, they continuously do it. So I'll give you my example. So when I was young, I always used to lack confidence, and I used to be really shy. And if anybody is along, you know, lacking confidence and being shy, generally being shy, lacking confidence, anxiety, they tend to be similar traits that people will find. I'm not saying other people don't, or you have all of them, but they do have a trend. So I used to be quite anxious, and I knew that I really wanted to become a coach, a speaker. I'd seen Tony Robbins speak, and I was like, wow, I would impact people like that with their lives. But I knew my confidence, or my lack of confidence, could actually hold me back from doing that. And so I started putting myself in places, in rooms where I wouldn't, and it was so uncomfortable. But I knew that growth was necessary to achieve my goals, and again, to continuously improve. So I want you to just think about in your minds, how would your life improve if you showed up differently, or if you grew? For you personally, for your customers, if you have customers, or if you work, then for your team, for your relationships, for your personal life, your family life. Just think about how your life could improve if you grew, or if you showed up differently. Right. So then I want to talk about what are some of the foundations of motivation. This is a reminder. I'm sure you've all heard this many a time, but it's such a key foundation that I just need to highlight it. So one of the foundations of motivation is managing your energy. How do you manage your energy? Few things. First of all, food and nutrition is a key part of your energy. I know when I've overeaten, I feel sluggish, I get brain fog, I just want to sit around on the couch and not do anything, and then it's a vicious circle. But I know when I'm exercising, a strong body is a strong mind. And when you have something in your belly and in your core, it kind of propels you forward. Your motivation kicks in. So really important to do that. Just two people I'd like to share examples with is some of you may remember the ex-president George Bush, and he used to say, you can imagine when you're president, right? There's a million reasons why you might not be able to exercise because there's always a crisis going on. Imagine the level of resiliency and how he shows up. What he said is, when I woke up at 6 a.m. every morning, and the first thing I do is I leave my phone at home and I go for an hour's run. That sets me up for the day. When I come back, I know there's going to be a million crises waiting for me, but I know that I've set myself up and I can handle whatever gets thrown at me in the day. Really powerful example. So he never missed a day of running, he said. So another example is, some of you may have heard of Tony Robbins, motivational speaker. And he's similar. He says, I run every single day. So he says, whether I'm delivering a seminar for 10,000 people, I think now he even delivers seminars for up to 100,000 people. He said, my day is the same. I run, whether I'm delivering a seminar for 5 people, doing one-to-one coaching, or I'm not even delivering seminars, but I'm going to be designing content. Whatever I'm doing, my day starts with a run. It really starts with an anchor. Now, I'm not suggesting you have to run. You can pick anything that's going to be motivating for you and serve as an anchor. So habits is really important, and the other habits we'll cover. So I want to give you a bit of an example, and I'll come on to this in a second. So I want you to think about this example. Just follow it with me for a second. So the other important part of motivation is our self-talk, how we speak to ourselves. So think about this, follow this example with me for a second. Very simple example. There are 2 people, person A and person B. Both of them decide they want to get really fit and healthy. So they're in the gym Monday to Friday, both of them. And then they eat healthy Monday to Friday, both of them. And then on the weekend, both of them on the Saturday end up eating pizza, a tub of ice cream, not doing any exercise. So exactly the same. Now, person A goes, oh God, that's really annoying that I've been healthy for 5 days and I've fallen off the wagon. Having said that, actually, I have worked hard all week and I'll be back in the gym on Monday. That's person A. Same situation, person B. Person B then says, oh God, I always do this to myself. I always lack discipline. I've worked so hard and now I've just gone and undone it all, all this kind of stuff, right? Same situation. So I want you to put in the chat for me, do you think you would be, with your self-talk, person A or person B? It'd be good to see what the majority of the answers come out as. And I'll open the chat while you do that.
Chat is open. Oh, there
Yeah. Person B. That's the negative. Person B was the more negative self-talk, and A was the
B, A. So we've got the right kind of mixture, 50-50.
It's all 50-50. Let's have a couple more. And I know it can be different on different days, obviously, or different points, but let's have a couple more answers. If anyone is near their chat boxes.
No, not more coming in.
No more coming in.
So we've got 50% B, 50% A.
Okay, so that is actually a pretty good, that's actually pretty good. Normally when I do this, I get more B's than A's, and it just tends to highlight that generally, we've got more A's. Okay, that's actually quite positive.
Oh, well done, ladies.
This is probably the first time I've got more A's than B's. That's really interesting. Normally when I do this exercise, what I find is that actually B's always come out higher, just because we tend to be more self-critical. So if you're an A, that's amazing, and that's the self-talk you need to give yourself. So if you are more championing of yourself, that's more powerful. So I love that. Right, we're going to do another little exercise, and it's a little bit of a financial exercise. So I want you to think about what you earn now in a year. Yeah, in your, obviously all this is in your head and it's personal. So think about what you earn now, just in your head. And then I want you to double that figure. So pick a round figure. Let's say, I'm just making this up. Let's say you earn £1,900. Just round it up to 2,000, just for the ease of the exercise. So just round up whatever you earn right now in a year, roughly. And then I want you to double it. Yeah, so if you earn £2,000 in a year and you double it, that becomes 4,000. Just think about how that feels for a second. If you were to earn double, instead of 2, you're going to earn 4. Now I want you to double that figure, so 4 becomes 8. So what does that feel like to you when you think of earning 8,000 instead of 2,000? And now I'm going to push it one more time. Think about doubling that again. So if you move from 8,000 to 16,000, so double whatever figure you have. In my case, my 8 becomes 16. What does that feel like if I'm jumping from earning 2,000 to 16,000? And I'd like to just, not the numbers, but I'd like to see some reaction in the chat. Just tell me what that feels like for you. It could feel amazing. It could feel unbelievable. You can feel resistance around it. It can feel amazing. It can feel life-changing. It can feel like, no way will that happen. What were your first instincts? Just let's have some shares in the chat about what would have come. So we've got stability and joy. We've got unattainable. Any other reactions people want to share? Relief, okay. It would feel overwhelming if it happened too quick. I agree. And to be honest, you can keep the chat coming. I'll just carry on talking for a second. But all of those things are true and they're correct. You would feel proud, and most of us have goals, and the goals should be really big. But sometimes in your mind and your body, you can't believe or accept that that can be real, and it might feel overwhelming. Or it's like, oh my God, that would just, if you have debt, so whatever your situation is, it'd be like, oh my God, it would just feel relief because all that would go away. But now think about if you were to earn that sort of a figure, you would have to show up quite differently to how you show up now. Would you agree with that? If I'm earning £2,000 and I'm kind of making do, and I'm kind of paying my debts and I'm living day to day, but suddenly if I got £16,000, first of all, even to earn that and to land that into my vibration, I would probably have to show up quite differently. And I'm not talking about winning the lottery. That's a chance. Although even with the lottery, studies have shown that if people aren't ready to receive the lottery, they lose that money too quickly because they don't know how to handle it. But I would need to show up as quite a different person. And suddenly how my life changes as a person who's living on £16,000 a year is quite different to how my life would show up as someone who earns £2,000. So my point is this: you don't need to earn the £16,000 to change your life. I can start cultivating those strong and good habits and be in the right rooms and read the right things as a person who was already earning that 16,000, then I'm becoming more of a vibrational match. And if you remember what I said on the first slide, it's who you become. So I might never earn the 16,000 and maybe I'll only hit 8 or 10. But who I have become has become such a quality person with a high vibration that actually, whether I hit 8 or 10, doesn't matter. I've become this quality person. And it's really, really important. So that's really, really good. And money, it's a little bit spiritual, and you may or may not believe this, and it's okay if you don't. Just food for thought is we are a vibrational match a little bit to who we are. Same as the kind of guy we attract. Generally, you'd need to be a vibrational match to the kind of guy you attract. Money's another energy. You need to have a bit of a vibrational match, and you need to be open to receiving it. So when you're a quality person, and the 16,000, that might feel overwhelming or it might feel a bit unreachable. Actually, if I look around me, there are millions of people on that planet earning 16,000 or whatever your figure is, right? So I need to be more in those rooms where that's more normalized, if that makes sense. Anybody want to ask or comment just on that one money exercise before I move on to the next thing? I just create a second. If anyone wants to just say anything else.
I cannot see any messages, but sometimes it takes time.
Either it takes time or no one wants to say so. Okay, inspiring. So hopefully I'm kind of alluding to the motivation, the goals, and kind of saying become that person on the journey and show up differently, and everything in your life changes. And that's why I really believe in inside out. If I'm hanging out with people earning 16 and they're normalizing that conversation, and I see they behave really differently to me and my friends are earning 2, then I want to behave like them, and everything changes really inside out, right? So Can you see my chat? I don't know. I have it open, but I'll close it. Okay. Right. Next exercise then. Visualization and power posing. So this is a lady called Amy Cuddy, and she's done a TED talk called Your Body Language May Shape Who You Are. And that TED talk has had over 69 million views. Might have had more since. Has anybody heard of it? Either visualization or Amy Cuddy in this TED talk?
Megan has.
Oh, good. Okay. Somebody else might have. Nicola might have. It's in Grey's Anatomy. Oh, that's interesting that they put Amy in there. That's lovely. Okay. The power pose. Good. Some of you have heard of it. So perfect. The fact that some of you have heard of it is obviously quite popular. Some of you have heard of the visualization, but not the talk. Good. So you're kind of familiar with the concept, at least, if not her. So I thought I'd use Amy Cuddy as a bit of an example, and we're going to do a small exercise. So I would encourage you to listen to that TED talk if you haven't. But essentially what she says is that when we open our arms, and the power pose is, I'm not going to stand because I think you won't be able to see me, but when you stand with your arms wide open like she has and your legs apart. And what that does, and your palms facing upwards, what that does is it actually allows your body to take up more space in the world. And as you take up more space in the world physically, your whole physiology changes. Because you'll know this, but think about when you're in fear or when you're in a room where you're feeling really shy or you don't want to be there. Most of us make ourselves small. We hunch, we cross our arms. We don't want to take physical space in the world. And that kind of is an instinctive thing that all humans do. So by doing this, it's saying, I deserve to be here. I deserve this space in the world, and I'm actually going to occupy the space that's rightfully mine. Palms open is I am receiving. So I like the palms open. I'm receiving everything the universe has to offer me. And the advice is to do this for 2 minutes every single day. Really, really powerful. And if you do this 2 minutes every morning, they say, if you have an interview or if you're doing a talk, then do it 2 minutes before your talk, do it 2 minutes before your interview, 2 minutes before anything important. And it quickly will change your state in a second. But also do it every morning, because as you walk out of your house or, whatever you're going to do, this changes your state, and you don't play small. Your body starts playing big. Your whole physiology changes. It's quite cool. So try it. So I'm going to do a mini version of this. I'm not going to ask everybody to stand up because I don't know where everybody is and how easy it is. And sometimes I deliver this in offices where I know people can't stand up. So we're going to do a sitting version of this just to get you a feel of it. So I invite you to just, whatever you're sitting on, just kind of settle into whatever you're sitting on. If you are in a position where you can close your eyes, then just close your eyes. It's only going to be for a minute or two. It's just a mini version of it. So if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. If you can uncross your legs, uncross your legs. If you're able to stand up and you want to stand up, then stand up. Anything is okay. And just close your eyes for a second. And just take some deep breaths. Just let the day go away. Just everything you've had to do today, everything you have done, everything you haven't done. Just breathe out your to-do list. Just take some deep breaths and release everything and just get present. Release what you have to do tomorrow. Release what you might still have to do after this call. Just take some deep breaths and just release it all and become present. Deep breaths. Breath in, deep breath out. And you may notice the rise and fall of your belly. So as you breathe in, your belly expands. As you breathe out, your belly contracts. And just do that 3 or 4 times. And that will make a nice connection for you with your body and your breath. And if you feel any tension in your body, just relax. Let the floor support you, let the chair support you. It's okay to let go a little bit more and let the chair and the floor support you. And just start becoming more aware of your body. If there's any tension anywhere in your body, it might be in your jaw, it might be in your arms, it might be in your hips, it might be in your calves. Just breathe there and just release it all as much as you can. And then I want you to imagine that inside your body there's a whole energy. It's like your spirit occupies something within you. And I want you to imagine that spirit coming out of your body energetically and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So it just becomes bigger energetically. And see how that feels. Is there resistance? Does it feel natural? Does it feel unnatural? Just take notice of how you feel. We're not looking to change it. Does it feel weird? And then I want you to follow with the arms. So open your arms to follow the spirit. And just open your arms like we did in that picture. And just allow your whole energy and your physical body to expand and look to receive. Again, notice, are you open to receiving? Does it feel good to be that expanded? Is it weird? There might be resistance. All of it's okay. Just notice where you're at. If you think I don't even want to do this exercise, that's also okay. Just notice, doesn't matter. Every feeling is valid. And then just bring your arms back in and your awareness back into your body and the floor and the chair, and then just open your eyes if you had closed them. And I would love to see again anything people want to share about how they felt during that exercise. Yeah, Lindsay, you wanted to say something? That's fine. Maybe that was an accident. Okay, so Rachel says you felt calm. That's really good. Radka says in a flow. Somebody felt some resistance, but then there was a calmness. Okay, so Alexandra, you meditate, so you're familiar with getting into this sort of state.
Drop-in is not supported on this device.
Sorry.
Try using drop-in on the Alexa app.
I'm just going to cancel my Alexa. Give me a second. Because I said Alexandra, I think she thought I was talking to her. I have that, yeah. So it must have been when I said Alexandra, she must have picked up. I've turned off now. So somebody felt resistance until you followed with your arms. Okay, so mixture of a little bit of resistance, but generally I'm getting that there was a lot of peace and a lot of feel good. So I really invite you to do this daily, just 2 minutes in front of the mirror, or if you can't do it in front of the mirror, it really is very powerful. 69 million views, right? It's going to have there's a lot of research behind it, which that TED Talk explains. So that's a quick way to get motivated and to increase your confidence and your state in a second. So there you go. Right. I would like to now move on to something else. So the talk is kind of in 3 parts. I want to move into the second part. Don't worry, the first one's the longest. The other 2 parts are shorter. Again, small exercises. So but I want to move on to now a different subject called the growth mindset. So this is nicely leading into how we stay motivated, why goals are important, how it's important to do it continually, and really inside out. So who we become, our life changes on the outside is my philosophy. So a growth mindset, basically. So it doesn't matter what you're going through, right? Whatever your goal is, let's say you want to get married, or you want to move house, or you've lost a job, or you want to overcome some financial difficulties, or you want to become a prime minister. There's a job going soon, I hear. If you're going through a breakup, or getting promoted, or setting up your business, or scaling your business, it doesn't matter what you're going through. The point is that your problems get bigger as you grow. So it's really important to understand what a growth mindset looks like. So the old school mindset, which I talked about in school, is a fixed mindset. And a growth mindset is what the popularity is. So if we look at the first two ideas around a growth mindset: talent, intelligence, abilities, and effort. The crux of it is, with a fixed mindset, the idea is that abilities, talent, all of that is fixed, and it doesn't matter how much effort you put. Either you're good at something or you're not. Whereas with a growth mindset, what it tells you is you can become really good at anything you put effort into. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I decide that I want to become a tennis player. Now, I'm not great at sports. So the fixed mindset in me could go, you're clumsy, you're rubbish at sports, everybody always laughs at you, so forget about tennis, not your bag. Growth mindset says, well, do you know what? I am really clumsy, I'm really rubbish at sports. That means if I want to learn to play tennis or become a tennis player, yes, I'm not going to become the next Martina, or I'm not going to be a champion league tennis player, most likely, especially if I'm starting this late in my life. However, I can become a tennis player, and I can become a damn good tennis player. But what does that mean? It means I'm going to have to work 2 or 3 times harder than somebody who started young, or somebody who is more natural at sports or plays other racket sports. So I'm going to have to work that much harder. I might need to hire a coach and get some additional help, or I might need to join a tennis club. I'll have to do that extra stuff. But if I put in the effort, I can become a damn good tennis player. So am I up for it or not is the question. It's not, can I do it or can I not? So same thing with challenges. In a fixed mindset, people like to be really safe and they don't like to take risks. Whereas a challenge is, in a growth mindset, actually every challenge is an opportunity to grow and learn something new. So if you're in a growth mindset, not only do you learn to like challenges, but sometimes I'm at a place now, and also I do spiritual work, I'm actually inviting challenges in, because I know with every challenge, I'll grow exponentially. And my resiliency will develop. So I'm now actually inviting them in. Whereas the old me, which I used to be in a fixed mindset, would have gone, oh God, another thing. Oh God, I hope this doesn't happen. Avoid it like the plague. And now I'm like, okay, here's another thing. Let's go for it. And really, failure is something that is really understood as part of growth. Whereas in a fixed mindset, failure is, really, it shows a lot of critical self-talk and a limit. And failure, I always say, remember this example, again, going back to our dear babies. Think about a baby that's trying to walk, right? Babies don't have this, can I do this, can I not? They don't have all that talk going on. But when a baby tries to walk, how many times does a baby fall before it learns to walk? Like endless times. But I'm yet to meet a baby who thinks, oh, I've fallen, therefore I'm not going to ever walk and I'm going to give up, right? They fall, 2 minutes later, they forget and they walk again. And then they fall again and the loop continues, right? So they're not scared of falling. It's part of learning. There's no person who can just walk without falling a few times. And, that's where the baby leans on like something to prop it up. It takes an adult's hand. There's a lot. So if failure is inevitable. So just wanted to remind you about your mindset. So if you are in a fixed mindset, move into a growth mindset. Really, really, really powerful. Okay. So were there any questions just on this template? I'm going to leave overall, Q&A at the end, but just if they're on this template, then put them in the chat. Otherwise, I will leave other Q&A to the end. Okay, one more tool I want to talk you through, and then a short exercise, hopefully, to bring it to life. So I've created a sample of a growth daily template. This is a template that kind of pulls together all the things we've talked about and how you can step up your life daily using this template. So I'll use me as an example and kind of brings it to life much better. So let's say my long-term goal is I want to become a global keynote speaker. And then I might have a monthly goal of, well, in that case, to do that overall goal, every month I'm going to get 5 keynotes. I'm going to develop a really powerful presentation that I can keep reusing. So I might create a challenge and an affirmation for the month. So this month, my challenge is that I'm really going to step up my talk. So each talk I give, my question is, how can I improve it? How can I make it better? What can I do? And the affirmation is I keep reminding myself that I'm stepping up, I'm stepping up, I'm stepping up. And then I know some people might do this weekly, so you can adopt the template. But here's my daily checklist of 10 priorities. So I call it Frog 1 and Frog 2. Anybody heard of Brian Tracy and the frog and eating the frog? Okay, Nicola, you use, when you say use this, you mean eating the frog metaphor? Yeah, okay. So Nicola's heard of eating the frog. Radhika likes the daily template. This helps you to prioritize the things that are important for the day. Yes, okay. Okay, a couple of people, Rachel's heard it as well. Love it. All right. So for those of you who might not have heard of it, Brian Tracy is a motivational coach as well. He talks about this thing called eat the frog. What he says is, the frog should be the thing that is the most difficult and you most hate. Eating a frog should be the worst thing you do in a day, right? So he says, eat your frog first thing in the morning, because that's when you're fresh. It's not hanging over you all day long, and your energy is at its peak, and it's, then it's done. And once you've eaten a frog, actually the rest of the day only gets more pleasant and easier. If you have 2 frogs to eat the bigger one first, so you get the gist of it. So in my case, for my goal, I hate reaching out to potential clients, right? Because who likes rejection? Nobody. But it's a muscle I have to grow. So for me, whilst I was growing that muscle, it was a frog. So reach out to clients. And actually, this is really important to me. To practice my talk for 10 minutes of a talk, and then listen back on how I can improve it. Now, if anybody has ever recorded themselves on audio or video and listened back, when you're not used to it, it's quite cringy. So I called it a frog. It can be pretty cringy watching yourself back. My fitness goals. So I had come out of a frozen shoulder, so I really need to strengthen my arm. So that was my fitness goals. I drink a lot of tea. I don't drink coffee, but I drink a lot of tea. And So I wanted to reduce that into spinach juice. I think you should have me time every day. So I was doing meditation classes at 8 that week, on that day, sorry. And learn something new. So when I talk about learning something new, it's really important to get your brain to learn something new. Now, if you tell me to read a whole book, most of us just don't have that kind of time. But if I just say, I'm just going to either do an audiobook while I walk. So while I walk, I'll listen to his audiobook for 10 minutes, or I will read 2 to 4 pages. That's enough to actually change something in my mind, to get me thinking differently for the day. So when you're learning something, even if you're listening to a podcast or YouTube, maybe just pick one that's an hour and then just break it up into 5-10 minutes each day, or on your walk. That's more listenable than putting a whole hour aside, because I know most of us are busy, and putting aside a whole hour, we just don't have that kind of time now. You need to have something fun planned for the day. So I was going to have a coffee with a friend. That was my fun. And I was not looking forward to my frog one. It's good to say something you're looking forward to, and good to say something you're also not looking forward to. It's there on paper, and you're like, and when it's horrible, you're like, yeah, I was never going to look forward to this anyway. So it's no shock to your body when you don't enjoy it. It's like, yeah, I was never going to enjoy it anyway, but I had to do it. It's like the medicine you take. You kind of have, it's just something, some stuff just needs to happen. It's always good to go into gratitude. So I had knee pains. I sound like a mess with my frozen shoulder and my knees, but that time I'd fallen. I was having really bad knee pains, like really bad. So my knee pain subsidizing was something I was really thankful for. And what was something I was proud of. So because of my bad knee pains, I couldn't walk at the time. I'd had a really bad fall. So I'd done a short walk the evening before. So it's really important to remind yourself of something you're proud of as well. So that's a really nice template I've kind of put together, just using a bit of gratitude, a bit of self-championing, a bit of fun, as well as the goals and the fitness. Obviously, you can adopt your own template, but hopefully this gives you a flavor of, if these are the important things for my day, then I do these, then everything else will tick over it's not a to-do list. This is what's important for the day. And then the to-do list will tick over, and all the other things that I do daily will tick over. But these are the most important things for my day. So I would like to now bring this all together, and I want you to just spend 5 minutes on this. Just so do both of these, and then we'll do some shares afterwards. So think about a goal you have, or something you might want to improve or change currently that you're working on. Could be big, could be small, could be your annual goal, could be your finances, could be your fitness, could be you're spending too much time scrolling on the internet, you're watching too much crap on Netflix, whatever your thing is. What's your goal? It could be as big or small as you would like. Just think of something you're working on or you'd like to improve or change. Maybe you're spending too much time talking to friends, whatever your thing is. And using all the different tools we've done today. So we did the visualization, we did the self-championing talk, we kind of did the money example around who you have to become that person. There's a growth versus a fixed mindset, or there's a daily template, quite a lot of tools. What is one action you can take using any of the tools, using that goal that you have in mind? And I'll just give you a couple of minutes to think about the goal and the action. give you 1 more minute. Okay, if you're still thinking about it, then do it. It's just whatever comes to mind for now. Obviously, you can do it properly tomorrow. So I was going to say, let's have some shares. I don't mind if you want to share verbally or in the chat. So I'll start with the first one that's come in, and then others can share verbally or in the chat. So Radhika says, annual goal is to move to a different area. Okay, very clear goal. Step I can do immediately. Believing in achieving 100% and keep that positive mindset. Perfect. So Radhika, you can speak or not. So love that. The goal is good. So a couple of things. I mean, you may or may not know what area you want to move to. So what are some of the steps is the belief and the positive mindset. So can we make it even more tangible? So you may know what area, or you may need to, one of the steps could be you might want to research the area you want to move to. Either research areas if you don't know the area, or it could be a case of, actually, I'm going to start searching house prices in the area. I might even go and do some viewings to get a feel of the area, to see what's available. You can make it more tangible. Even go and see some areas, do some house viewings, whether you have the money or not. It starts getting you a feel for that. And then in terms of the positive mindset, what is an affirmation you could have for the positive mindset? Okay, so Radhika's already been there to feel the energy. Love it. So you could actually then take it even more tangible to actually see some houses or flats. And in terms of the affirmation, what's an affirmation you could actually have to help you with that goal and that positivity? I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm sure you can come up with an affirmation. There you go. I deserve it. I can do it. I love it. I love it. The deserve it is a lot of us kind of, I'm not getting to all this, but a lot of our lack of self-worth then makes us believe we don't deserve something. So I deserve it is amazing, and I can do it is amazing, because you've used the word, probably already into this, but you're using the word I for the affirmations. So the power is within you. So I love it. I love it. Thank you. Let me pull out a couple more. Okay, so Alexandra says, you want to become a sleep consultant. So self-talk, self-confidence, and positive mindset. So all those are really important, Alexandra. So let's bring it, if you think about the template I shared, for example, they were quite tangible. So give me a couple of actions then you would actually use. Okay, the self-talk is good because it's the awareness. And what's the self-confidence and positive mindset? 2 actions you could take. So you could say, I'm going to increase, if you exercise, I'm going to increase my exercise or weights, or I'm going to start if you don't, or I'm going to read a book, or I am going to use this affirmation. What's one step you can do to take it even further? Increase my time for learning. Perfect. So if you increase your time for learning, my recommendation would be maybe listen to some sleep podcasts. And I mean, I don't know anything about sleep, so I'm not trying to tell you, but just, I remember this guy called Stephen Bartlett, on one of his podcasts, he got a sleep consultant, for example. So you might want to listen to that podcast. So you might want to listen to podcasts from or read books around either someone so you also want to give up a job, start something new. So either listen to podcasts of people who've given up a job or who are sleep consultants. Make the podcast and the learning something that will help you with your goal, if that makes sense. Yeah. There were some of the
There is one from Lindsay earlier. I think she's well,
Let
she's
me
got
scroll up.
Yeah.
That's all
Can you
right.
see it? She said
Oh,
goal.
yeah. Goal is to buy my own house, as I have recently sold my last joint one and become a single parent. Perfect. So you want to start visualizing yourself in your own house, and I love that. That's amazing. And so you could use the 2-minute Amy Power Cuddy. There are loads of visualizations on YouTube, loads of free things, and you can bring it to life. You could also use the template to think about the money, to think about the single parenting, where and how you might get support. You might also actually want to, again, think about learning something new in that area. But really, if it sounds like the visualization is kind of the step one you want to do. So you've got the tool, you've got the Amy Cuddy, you've got the YouTube visualizations, and I think that will just change the physiology in the next actions. You'll just be motivated with the next actions, they just follow. There's somebody else has said something. So Nicola has said her goal is to prepare my new business materials and to plan your days. Love it. So plan your days, get your frogs out the way. Also plan something fun, because, all work and no play is going to kill your motivation very quickly. Please trust me. And prepare your new business materials. And like me, you may want to, I don't know what your frogs are, but if you definitely need to carve out, maybe one of your frogs will be preparing your new business materials, and if you do it chunk by chunk, bit by bit, it will get done. So love it.
Sorry, I just tried to unmute myself and it actually kicked me out of the call, so maybe that's trying to tell me something. I was about to type it. Going on the subject of the sleep business, so I'm in the process of setting up a sleep business as well, and I follow a lot of people on Instagram, and they do a lot of stories where they're answering questions. And at the minute, I work in an internal comms role, so I'm used to writing things for other people to say. And honestly, I hate listening or watching myself on video or anything like that. And when I watch these people on Instagram, I think I can do that. I can do it. I just hate the idea of doing it. And I sit there and I answer the questions that they're answering myself in my own head. But I think when you said about the frog thing, I think you actually said it earlier on about the keynote speaking. I think I need to actually video myself answering some of these questions and watch it back to just get used to it, because that is a major frog for me. And I mean, I need to do something about that for me to be able to progress.
Social media is such a big thing. I don't think anyone can avoid it. And it really is cringy when you watch yourself and you hear yourself. And when you see it being cringy, that's good now. You're already expecting that you're going to feel cringy, right? But it does get less cringy with time. That's the thing, right?
I hope so.
It does. Please take it from me, right? So it does get less cringy with time. So yeah, and you know what? If you are to, and extroverts don't care how they appear, so they actually just go on and say whatever, right? And in fact, most extroverts, a lot of narcissists think they're God's gift to the planet, right? If you're not in that camp, then I would suggest, which doesn't sound like you are because you're asking that question, I would really suggest just record and get familiar with the camera, get familiar with the lighting, get familiar with how you're going to come across when you've done it a few times, and then you're like, oh yeah, you know what, that angle looks good. And also where you feel good, you're like, oh, when I'm sitting in the daytime against this window, I actually feel good. it's a two-way process, because if you're feeling good and enjoying it, the people seeing it will pick that up about you. So you want to practice, just practice. There's no shortcut to this apart from practice, but just start enjoying it after a while, you know. And then, you know what, if you want to go on Insta and do some stuff, people do lives or records, you know, maybe start small, do 1 minute, do 2 minutes, and then it just takes a bit of practice. But yeah, good. I love that one. That's a powerful one.
I had once professor told me a very interesting thing, and it's keep being in my head. And so basically he said, if I'm not embarrassed by things I did 6 months ago, I'm not moving fast enough, which I think it's kind of quite good.
I love that. So,
yeah. So if you want to move, you have to go through those, you know, embarrassing moments.
It's true.
Yeah.
The thing is, I watch people and they do cringy things themselves, and I love it. I love watching other people do cringy things, but it's when it's yourself, you think, oh, is that too cringy?
I know. And to be honest, we think like whole world is going to know, but to be honest, they're going to forget minute after.
Yeah.
But the ones you're going to approach that going to feel it, they're going to remember, and those ones you aiming for. So yeah, it's tough.
You might be surprised. People might not even be noticing that you're cringy. They're listening to your words, they're watching you enjoy yourself, or they're even thinking, wow, exactly what you're thinking. They're looking at you going, wow, she's so brave to go on Insta. I wish I could do that. You don't know what they're thinking. You think they're thinking that you're cringy because you're thinking that. They're probably not thinking that at all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe we should set up a group where we just kind of everyone talks whatever, because I've got that problem as well. I would like to be more confident on the camera. So maybe we should set up a group and just
everyone just prepare. What would be really powerful is everyone just prepare something for 2 minutes, and then everyone gets a chance to go around and just do a 2-minute practice run. Because I do camera practice runs. It's not the same as doing it in front of people. So that is an added practice if you can. Radhika says, I did the exercise recording myself and then deleted and then felt better. Perfect. So you deleted it, but you did it again is the point. So that's fine. And
it's a growth mindset, isn't it?
It's a growth mindset. And I said at the start, do you remember that example where I know it was a relationship coach, but sometimes you hear something and it strikes you, where he said, but we're constantly evolving and making better versions of ourselves. And it applies. I just thought that was a growth mindset in it just really, and it's the same for everything. Perfect. We're kind of good on time. I'm happy to take overall questions, but any last thing on this exercise before we move to Q&A and wrap? Okay, I think most people who wanted to say something have said something. So thank you for all your shares. I do appreciate it. And I think you already probably know this, but when you share, you help other people who haven't necessarily spoken. So, by sharing, everybody gets quite a lot from it. So, so good. Radhika said, yeah, she changed her energy and then she practiced it and it was a bit different. Love it. Right. Final thing I want to leave you with is some resources. And I'll just leave this slide on if you want to copy anything.